Today with a report in the Bergen Record that John Calipari has his eye on the NBA again. In his first NBA go-round, Calipari failed with the New Jersey Nets. But there is talk from an unnamed NBA official that Calipari wants a return. Quote, he desperately wants it. He won't say it out loud. The NBA is the only place he's ever failed, and it drives him nuts. He's not the same guy he was then. He came to the NBA and he wasn't ready. He's ready now, unquote. Wilbon, could you see Calipari going back to the NBA?
Absolutely. I told you last year I saw it. Now, I was a year too early, apparently. But if you go undefeated, so let's just say John Calipari takes this Kentucky team and he finishes it off. And he's won another national title already, 2012. He was in the finals last year and lost.
That's right.
What more do you do in Kentucky? There's no better job. Well, he's not going to get the job at North Carolina or Duke. So where would John Calipari go? He's still a young man in college basketball, nowhere else. Why not go back to the NBA, prove you can do it there too?
Kentucky is the greatest place to be a coach. They'll give you all the money you want.
What's the better than UCLA, but he's
yes,
at Kentucky.
Yes, it is.
Why?
They'll give you everything they want. Nobody travels like Kentucky. Nobody is as big as Big Blue. The problem is, sometimes if you don't make the Final Four, if you don't even win a championship,
they want you out.
Yeah, they want you out.
Big Blue Nation.
So I agree with you. If you have 2 championships and you go 40-0 and you have an all-time team,
undefeated,
you can leave. Rick Pitino left, went to the NBA, came back to college coaching, won a championship at Louisville.
Yeah.
Tough place to be when you've been in Kentucky, and hasn't wanted to go back to the NBA. Probably learned something. If I'm Calipari, where am I going to go? Am I going to go where John Wall is in Washington? Am I going to go where Anthony Davis is in New Orleans? Because those coaches would be out. See you later if John Calipari said he wanted those jobs.
Look, there's always 6 or 7 NBA jobs open at the end of the season, so we know what's going to happen. And Cal's got alums everywhere.
Well, he's not going to take a bad team.
If he becomes a head coach, think what happens in 2 years when the cap jumps, the cap ceiling jumps, okay? And you can recruit like John Calipari can recruit. And you got all these pups everywhere in the NBA.
You don't think he's going to go to a sub-500 team, do you?
Not unless they got like a ton of money and draft picks and they got promised a great player. But, Tony, he's not Bob Knight. I can't see him staying in college basketball another 20 years after he goes undefeated.
He had a bad record at New Jersey. Just for the record, it was
he went to the playoffs.
72 and 112.
43 and 39.
72 and 112, and his players cheered when he left. He didn't get along with it.
That was not good. Before Cal contemplates his offseason and his future, he and his team will have to fend off West Virginia. And one of the Mountaineers has already fired a shot at Kentucky. A freshman named Daxter Miles Jr. told reporters in Cleveland today, quote, I give them their props, salute them for getting to 36-0, but tomorrow they're going to be 36-1, close quote. Kentucky's Devin Booker responded, quote, a lot of teams say things, but eventually you have to step in the ring, close quote. Tony, is Mr. Miles Jr. too cocky for his own good?
Well, probably if they don't win, certainly. But if they do win...
The freshman averaging 7 points a game.
If they do win, he looks like a genius. I don't know if Bob Huggins is with him or without him on this particular thing. But I remember this. I remember going to Notre Dame twice in my life when teams came in with huge streaks. Okay, UCLA had won like 5,000 games in a row. Digger Phelps was the coach, and at Notre Dame they beat UCLA. A couple of years later, San Francisco was number 1 in the country. They were 26-0. Right. That's right. And Notre Dame beat them. Now, that was at Notre Dame, not in a neutral court. But sometimes people snap straight.
Again, Tony, look, we've seen great upsets. And this would be in the category of, even though Villanova and Georgetown should not be considered one of the great upsets, they're conference foes who are fairly even. We've seen teams, NC State, Houston, where you go into a situation, whether it's for the Elite Eight or the Final Four or championship game, you say, no, this is not going to happen, except it does happen. That's the glamour and the glory of single elimination basketball.
Did you watch West Virginia the other day?
I did.
West Virginia comes at you for 40 minutes. They press all over the place. They foul you on every play. And after a while, referees don't even call it because they're tired of calling it. They compete, right? Here's who they beat this year. They beat Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Kansas, Texas, NC State, Wofford, Lafayette. That's 7 tournament teams, not counting what they've done in the tournament. So it's not like nobody's heard of them and they can't play.
Look, the fear for me watching this game, one, a competitive game, is going to be 19-2.
Yeah.
And it won't make a difference. Daxter Miles Jr. is going to be 0 for 4, and he's going to get stage fright because he is once again a freshman.
Look, we're both picking Kentucky, but it could happen.
But this is the coach you want. A combative,
8-2,
tough
8-2
guy
lifetime against
who's
Calipari.
playing in big games.
Yeah.
Wichita State